With the 98th Oscars finally over, here are my very early predictions on what films I think will get a nomination for Best Picture at the 99th Oscars next year. I'm gonna go ahead and say Michael, aka the Michael Jackson biopic movie, will get a nomination. The hype for this movie is insane. The behind the scenes with Jafar Jackson preparing to play his uncle with such attention to detail is definitely gonna get this movie an Oscar nomination, whether it's Best Picture or not. The Odyssey, directed by Christopher Nolan with a star-studded cast including Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, and more, is an obvious lock for a Best Picture nomination. I'm sure Nolan will cook another great recipe again with this movie and might even win Best Picture next year. Dune Part 3 is the third movie in the Dune trilogy directed by Denis Villeneuve and starring Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides. The first two movies got a nomination for Best Picture, so it would make sense if Part 3 also got one. Disclosure Day is the latest UFO movie directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, and Coleman Domingo. Never bet against Spielberg to not get nominated at the Oscars. Project Hail Mary, starring Ryan Gosling, is already getting massive praise by critics and audiences. Directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, most known as the geniuses behind the Spider-Verse duology and soon-to-be trilogy, based on the adaptation of the book with the same title, Project Hail Mary, so it would be obvious for it to be nominated. Digger, starring Tom Cruise, is the next movie directed by Alejandro González Iñárritu, most known for directing Birdman and The Revenant. It's being described as a brutal, wild comedy with catastrophic proportions. And well, Birdman won Best Picture at the 87th Oscars, so it would make sense for Digger to be at least nominated for Best Picture. Martin McDonagh is back with Wild Horse 9, last seen directing The Banshees of Inisherin, which also got a nomination for Best Picture, so predicting this movie is also a safe bet. The Social Reckoning, aka the sequel to The Social Network, now being directed by Aaron Sorkin, no longer David Fincher, is starring Jeremy Strong, who is replacing Jesse Eisenberg as Mark Zuckerberg. The movie is also starring Mikey Madison and Jeremy Allen White. The Adventures of Cliff Booth, directed by David Fincher and written by Quentin Tarantino, once again set in the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood universe. With Brad Pitt returning as Cliff Booth, this movie might get a nomination. And last is an unpopular opinion, but I think I Swear will be nominated. It was nominated for multiple awards at the BAFTAs, including Robert Aramayo, who won for Best Leading Actor. But it wasn't eligible for the Oscars this year since it wasn't released in the US and was only released in the UK. I think there's a big chance it's gonna get nominated for Best Picture unless it gets overshadowed by other films releasing this year. But what's your predictions? Did I miss any films that you think will get nominated next year? Leave your predictions in the comments down below, and